Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night, depending on when you're watching me and where you're watching me from. So, tonight we're going to be getting into a very difficult and underreported topic, which is the missing Native American women and girls, and why, statistically, so many of them go missing per year relative to other demographic groups of women. Uh, the rates are so high. On average, each year in the United States, 5,000 Native American girls go missing, women or girls, and typically these are girls and children of the ages 0 to 17. And we'll be later on in the live, we'll be discussing examples of this. And also, we'll be joined by Alex Erickson, who's also done her own live on this topic before. And she has a lot of insights and research that she's done into it. So she'll be joining us soon. And it's a real pleasure to have her on with her expertise. And she has her own channel. If you don't already know, you should certainly go and check it out. Alex Erickson, she does true crime and she handles cases with care like ATS does, and everyone in our little corner of YouTube does. And missing Native American women are often ignored by the media, sadly, due to, I think, bigotry against Native Americans. And also, I think, the impression that if it happens in a reservation, that it's not as significant, or that it happens in a reservation. It's not the concerns of people off its, which is totally untrue. Now we're joining Alex Erickson. Welcome, Ali. Glad you could join us. You're on mute. She's muted. I'll just let her know. Hi, Val. Glad you could join us. Sadly, I think Ali is on mute, but I've let her know in the private chat. But glad you could join us. We're talking about missing Native American women, and a topic that's been sadly really. Oh, you're unmuted. Is that? Oh, God. Yeah, I'm having a little bit of a technical difficulty right now. Thanks, Val. And yeah, I'm just unmute. Is this working? Oh God, it won't let me unmute. Okay, so I'm gonna. Yeah, Ali left, and she can rejoin. Yeah, hopefully that'll work. Just a little bit of technical difficulties. We've got some gremlins going on at the moment, as Val knows. We've got some technical difficulties with Ali, but I hope Ali can rejoin, or anyone who would like to. Hopefully, yeah. Ali's back. Hi, Ali.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Absolutely. I think I had you muted by accident. I don't know why. I think it might be a new StreamYard update. But finally, we've got Ali back. I was really worried about that because I was really happy to have you on, because obviously you've done your own research as well, and you've got some really good insights to share. But yeah, Val's here, and she's just letting you know, a cute pup, Ali.
Thank you. Well, you know what happened? Oh gosh, I don't know why I have so much feedback. Let me turn myself down.
Oh, it's fine. Don't worry.
Well, what happened was, it was because I grabbed the link from Discord. Are your headphones close to your mic?
Mine aren't connected, no.
Hold on. Let's see. I might be able to just do a different audio setting.
Bear with us, everyone. We're just getting into the swing of it.
But yeah, it's because, I think that worked. Oh man, a little bit. But so what happened, Jay? I'm so sorry. It's from grabbing the link from Discord.
Yeah, I think when you do it from a third party location, it can mess it up a little bit. But yeah, thanks for letting me promote it in your Discord. I think I use Discord to
Of course.
interact with other channels and other creators, and it helps me promote the channel. And Ali, thank you so much for letting me promote the live on your own personal Discord and my other past lives as well. And I've got to thank Laura from Perplex True Crime as well, who also allows me to do that. Without you guys' help, and same with Amber promoting my channel, like I wouldn't have anyone in here right now. I'd probably only have Val, and which I really appreciate, and a few other people. But yeah, I wouldn't have a fraction of the audience that I have without the promotion of you guys. So I'd just like to thank you very much for that.
Well, you are so welcome, and I think I fixed it. Yay! You
Yeah,
deserve it though, and you're gonna grow, and you're gonna continue to grow. Everybody starts somewhere, and right now is a weird time for true crime YouTube. So, you'll get there. I just know it. You will. So.
thanks so much for the encouragement, Alex. Especially from a big creator like you, who's put so much work in. It really means a lot. I'm inspired by you and Amber, like especially you in this sense, because you like to focus in on subjects and cases, and you often do a case a week that isn't getting airtime. And I think that's what led you down this rabbit hole of Native American women going missing. So I'd love you to share any kind of initial insights that you have on that, or like the social causes as to why maybe that's happening.
Well, when you start looking at the crimes that are reported on a lot and what actually happens, even before I got into the missing and murdered Indigenous women, you can just realize, whoa, for some reason, not every case gets the same amount of attention. And then you see, if it's an addict or a prostitute, and then also with people of color and indigenous people. And it is heartbreaking. That just is, once you realize it, how many Native American women go missing at a rate much higher than your average woman. They're less reported on. They have their own, depending on if they're in a tribe or not, that makes a difference. And it's just, once you realize it, it's, how can you not talk about it? You know what I mean? How can you not be like, what is going on? This is a problem.
Absolutely,
So,
and I'm in the same boat as you. With these are oppressed people. I've always felt that they got a real raw deal of things, the Native Americans, and being of Irish descent myself and Scottish descent, but mainly Irish. Uh, I have quite a decent and good understanding, and the Scottish as well. But I think I have a good understanding and sympathy for Native Americans, because uh, my ancestors were not colonizers; they were the colonized. Our language was they tried to take from us. Our
right.
land they tried to take from us. Our culture they tried to take from us. Our women they tried to take from us. Uh, Everything
Mm,
they tried to take from us. Our kids they tried to take from us. So I can completely understand their plight and the generational trauma that they deal with, uh, you know, uh, in a different level, because the numbers of Native Americans was basically the same as it is now, as it was when Columbus first arrived. 10 million now, which means
right.
that which is counted as at least having at least a parent who is at least a half of a half Native American. And that's
Right.
10 million in the whole country. And when Columbus first came, that's the number of Native Americans that there was, and that number shrinked rapidly because of the spread of diseases, and the genocide of them, the mass killing for land. So you
Yeah.
consider this, and you consider the displacement, and the displacement to the reservations from their original lands, and then the abduction of their kids, taking them to schools to be forced to speak English and abandon their cultural ways, that creates an atmosphere of dysfunction when that trauma isn't healed and resolved or addressed. And people can go to poor coping mechanisms, like you already said, substance abuse, addiction. And I've looked into these Native American reservations. Some are doing very well, some aren't doing very well at all, some are very underfunded, and there's a lack of opportunity, there's a lack of work for people living on these places. And that creates a vacuum where people get hopeless and get, out of desperation and depression, out of the misery of not having no chance to make something of your life, turn to
Yeah.
substances. And these women, in some of these cases, turn to substances and then are trafficked. And I've been watching many videos, and I actually spoke to a Native American guy about this last time I was at a reservation in the casino. I mentioned to him about this. He was like a tour guide, but I kind of mentioned to him across, like, when no one else was there, like, what's the deal with all the missing Native American women? Like, do you have any idea why? And he said, like, obviously the social issues, and he said, but the human trafficking, essentially, what he's said has happened and they've known has happened is Mexican cartels members, like,
Right.
befriend the women, native women who will live on reservations, who have already got substance abuse problems, act like they're a boyfriend and that they're in love, groom them into prostitution, and then traffic
Human
them.
trafficking. Right. Well,
Exactly.
they're the perfect victim, as awful as that sounds, because they're not reported on as much. The jurisdictional issues alone, from tribe versus what's, federal, like, they're easy prey for some of these people. And I was looking at some facts before I came on with you, just trying to refresh my memory because it's been a minute. And 80% of Native American women face violence in their lifetime, and over 50%, I can't remember the exact number, but it's over 50, face sexual violence. 70% of those crimes, the sexual violence, is done by non-Native Americans.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is shocking. That shows you there are people that are preying on those women specifically.
Easy targets, like I said, like you said, you're
Yeah,
exactly right. As horrible as that is to say, it's accurate, and we have to face up to the reality of this situation. Like you say, there is a lack of funding in a lot of these reservations, and there's the attitude of the people in these really run down places is anger at their tribal leaders, many of whom are very cozy with the federal government. And I've been in a few Discord servers, and I've been poking around and trying to figure out why is this dysfunction. And a lot of native people on these reservations seem to think that votes are bought, that these people keep getting in who are corrupt because they buy votes, and people are so, have so poor on these places and have such a lack of opportunity that they'll still vote for someone who is like they know is screwing them over as a tribal leader, because they're offering
right,
them money as a bribe to do it, and they have no
right.
real choice other than that. And
And
we're forcing a concept of democracy on these people that is totally foreign to them. They lived
right,
in, obviously they had a chief, but they're used to tribal societies, and chiefs weren't voted in. Uh,
right,
they were they were self-selected. Well, not only self-selected, but selected by nature itself. So that usually by blood, as is royal family, and passed on through blood. But
right,
oftentimes, the warrior who could show himself to be the most honourable and the most brave would have that title. And these concepts of vote in people and government European style, of course, it's not going to function as we would imagine it would for us, because these people are not used to this. This isn't their way. This isn't their traditions. It's another extension of our colonialism that we're trying to force this on them. You know what I mean? When really, I think what I've heard from them is they would prefer a more egalitarian system where they're sovereign. But back to like the issue, obviously, but this is all linked, their sovereignty, their rights, and everything. The law enforcement in these places are severely underfunded. They're paid
Yeah.
a lot lower than a normal law enforcement person would be off the reses. You know what I mean? And they're
Yeah.
paid hourly, like $7 to $20 per hour, and that's
Right.
really low for a law enforcement officer. And you know, oftentimes, obviously the local law enforcement off the reservations are certainly supposed to cooperate with them, and mainly federal agents should cooperate with the reservation authorities to when somebody goes missing, but they don't. You know what I mean? In a lot of cases, because they don't prioritize it, like you said, to us, either this sense of bigotry, or this isn't as important, or this isn't our problem, like with the media, because it's happened in almost another country. But if someone goes missing, in Canada, you still report on it in America. Like Madeleine McCann went missing in Portugal, and people reported on her all over the world. So it
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
mean
true.
that if someone goes missing and they're in another country or another territory, it doesn't mean that it's not as valid and that we can't still help, because people are smuggled across borders. You know what I mean? And a lot of these cases, like you said, Ali, 70% of the women are assaulted by non-Native Americans, and this is typically, I think, the abduction, the trafficking of them is happening and being done by non-native people, and we've got to understand, like you said, it goes towards this feeling of them being seen as less than, and that's in no small part because I understand through about colonialism, like when to justify occupying somebody, you've got to demonize them. Hi, Amber, glad you could join us. But yeah, to occupy somebody and justify it, you've got to demonize them. And like Native Americans have been demonized, and Native American women have been sexualized in popular literature, and like Pocahontas in that story, she's 13. You know what I mean? She's being abused. Like that was
Yeah.
assault by our standards. You know what I mean? And like that's like a glorification, that story, and it's making it seem like, oh, she loved him and it's nice. No, it's not. It's sick and it's wrong, and
Right.
that notion is dangerous. We can't be putting this stuff out, and
As if it's a fairy tale. But did you know there was a link? They're saying there's a link between the missing and murdered Indigenous women and these pipelines that are being put in. And there was one that was named specifically on, maybe it was just like quick research. I was just going in. I was going to print this stuff out, so I had it right in front of me, because on the phone I can't really look while we're talking. But I think it was like Dakota Access Pipeline or something. But which that's interesting to me, because it's like the money you're talking about and stuff, and these workers coming in, and it's just, and colonial, all of it. It's pretty shocking and crazy to
yeah,
think
like you
about.
say, it could easily be transient workers who are taking advantage of Native American women who have out of substance abuse issues or
Yeah.
domestic violence, running away from it, and abuse in the home, like you say, is an issue as well that they face. Overwhelmingly more likely than any other group of women in the United States, miraculously,
Yeah.
amazingly, not amazingly, terribly. You know what I mean? It's insane that the rates of these horrible traumas are on them way higher than they are any other demographic, and
Yeah.
it seems
And
unbelievable
underreported.
and
You
underreported as
know.
well, because
Yeah.
and I think a lot of these cases, when they go missing, the family either has such a lack of faith in the either tribal authorities or the federal authorities because of past dealings with them, that they don't even bother because they think, wait, what's the point? They can't deal with basic public services. How are they going to deal with something as complex as this? We may as well just look ourselves and hope for the best, hope for one day she'll show up again, you know what I mean? And just pray, I suppose. You know, I think that's the attitude of in a lot of these cases. And also, I think that they would also have to acknowledge maybe their daughter has substance abuse issues, and they might fear shame within the tribe and ostracization and social alienation, because these places, there's these reservations, they're not like heaving with people, you know what I mean? Like everybody knows everybody's business. And, you know, if you've got to look at someone in the eye every day and you're a proud man, and they're a proud people, a lot of them, I don't think, could handle that. The idea that
so
others
right know
that their daughter's out there being, you know, dishonored and stuff like that. In Native American culture, the woman has a lot more importance than in Judeo-Christian culture, because the woman isn't relegated to being just the mother. In Native American culture, the woman can be a warrior just the same as a man, and that
interesting
gender boundary. It's similar in my people's culture, the Celts, because, you know, we are in our rebellion against the Romans, we were led by a woman.
Wow, I didn't know that.
That's and so that was thousands of years ago. That was over, you know, and that shows that we're not like a misogynist people.
Power.
Yeah, exactly. And and that's why, you know, I see a lot of commonalities and similarities between my people's traditional culture and the Native Americans' traditional culture. But yeah, and I've also seen that it's good that a lot of these points that I've got written down you've already covered, and it just shows you what great research you've done, and I really appreciate that. So it saves me from having to read it out.
We can still talk about it though. Go ahead, because that was just like off the top of my head. You know what I mean? It could have been wrong. It's just I should have printed it off, like I said, and then I didn't, because I couldn't find a place that had, like, when you go to print stuff off, it'll always print off all the ads and stuff too, and I couldn't find somewhere with everything concise the way I wanted it, so I didn't print it off. But yeah, go ahead.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I want to get onto like examples of some cases like of currently missing and sadly murdered Native women and girls. Like the first one, you might have heard this, is Ashley Loring Heavy Runner, 29-year-old from a member of the Blackfeet Reservation in Montana. She was last seen July the 13th in 2017. And she's still missing now, and that's nearly 10 years ago. And she's 29 now, and you'll notice that all of these women are over, and these are girls. They're all under the age of 21 when they go missing. You know, it's always, and they're always very small and very thin and look younger. And it just,
gosh, it's so sad.
It's just really sad to think, you know, like, how are they going to be able to fend for themselves out there in the dark world where there's so many people with so many, you know, bad intentions? You know, it terrifies you. Like, how are they going to be able to fight off a 6'6", 300-pound guy, you know, that's mentally ill, and
in a world that's foreign?
In a world that's foreign, that they don't know, where they don't, you know, they're not treated with the same, you know, importance as we are, you know, and it's terrifying. It's really sad, you know, because despite all that's been done to them as a people, they're very, very welcoming when you go there to the reservations, and they're very, very happy to talk to you about their history and what they've been through, and there's never any sense of bitterness at all. Like they just, obviously they're sad about what's been done to them, but I don't think that's a level of strength that I personally wouldn't have. You know what I mean? That I've seen in them when I've encountered them, and yeah, that was Ashley Loring, heavy runner, and then also there's Savannah Standing Burr, who is 23,
Mhm.
and she went missing this year. Well, not this year, last year. Getting used to saying that now.
Yeah.
March 25th, 2025. So nearly coming up on a year, and she's from the Rosebud Indian Reservation, and just like the rest of them, um, that she's a small, like 5'5", skinny girl, you know, and there's little context about them going missing, but I'm sure if you dig deep into these cases, you'll find that they had a new boyfriend or something like that who was from off the reservation. I think that that's a commonality you'll find in all of these missing cases, sadly, because you can not just move on to the you can move on to the reservations if you're with one of the women or one of the men. You know what I mean? You've got to be with someone who is a tribe member, and
I
then
didn't know that.
yeah. So non-Native Americans can live there, but you've got to live with or be a partner of someone who's already a born member.
See,
So
there's a reservation in North Carolina that I wanted to go visit. It's really interesting because they've historically they've legalized marijuana, and they have this huge, like, they're all about, the different benefits, health benefits of it, and they have this huge plant, and they can sell it there, but it's illegal in North Carolina unless you do hemp derived, which that's legal. But it's just really fascinating, and I wanted to go there. I
you
still
should
want to go visit.
you should totally go, and you should make a if they're okay with it, of course, like getting their permission, like take a few videos or for us to see on YouTube, because I love watching videos of people going to reservations. I find it a real interesting experience that within America you can step into a completely different world, a different
Yeah.
culture, a different language, different way of living that I think we could learn a lot from uh,
Yeah,
as
definitely. That's a
Europeans.
good idea. Maybe
But
I
yeah,
will. And I'll send you some stuff about it though, because it's really freaking interesting. Because anybody can go to their dispensaries and stuff, and yeah, it's really fascinating. Like the way I just think the way it, like you said, it's a whole different world, different laws, different, you know, everything, culture. Really could learn a lot from it. And it should be respected and valued. But the problem is, these predators in our society, they see something like that, and that's the perfect place to sink their teeth in. You know what I mean? To kind of place like that that's smaller, that's got different laws, it's got I don't know. It's crazy to think about the different worlds.
it's yeah, like you said, different laws, smaller world, and people who assume the best in others despite all the crap they've been through as a race. They still, I think, a lot of them try to see the best in people, and all the Native Americans I've ever come across have always been really friendly, uh, especially friendly, and go out there. I've noticed go out their way to be friendly and leave a good impression like that. So, like, to me, that just shows you like the type of lives they live. I think traditionally it creates a more balanced
Yeah.
person, and I think that Europeans who I think we've been not to kind of dump on Christianity, but I think that it doesn't acknowledge the power of nature and the healing quality of nature. It kind of encourages you to put all your emphasis and focus on an individual or a being in itself. But I think what most people would call God or a God can be felt in nature itself. I
Oh
think
yeah,
that to
absolutely.
me has always been a place where I've been able to feel a presence like that way more than any
Oh,
kind of church or mosque or synagogue or anything like that. Like I've never
oh
felt
my God. Now
anything in
you're
those
speaking to
places.
my soul, because that's how I am too. Like nature is where I feel closest to, God. And to me, God is different. I'm not big on organized religion, but I respect everybody's right to find a place that they are comfortable or whatever. It doesn't matter to me. Like,
Absolutely.
but actually that place is so beautiful. That's another reason I wanted to go. Like, the hotels are right on this river, and they, like, I don't know, it's just the one of the most beautiful spots. Like, and yeah, it's interesting. They take
Yeah.
care of their land and stuff, and it seems like we value stuff, like not even just religion as in, like, organized religion and stuff, but also materialistic stuff.
I was just
We
going to get
like,
to that. You're so right.
yeah.
We as I think we as a people, our system of oh, I can hear myself. Oh, am I?
Oh,
Yeah, better now. Yeah, yeah.
I didn't
I think
change
our
anything.
system
Okay.
that has been, capitalism itself, the way we do things in the West, to justify it, to enable it, we have to have a steady supply of idiots. So I think people have been, socialized and brainwashed to be materialized, to value that over significant life experiences. And I know, because we
Yeah.
are on the topic of Native Americans. This experience kind of solidified my bond with them as a people. My grandmother, who recently passed sadly over the holidays, um, she
Oh, I'm
she
so sorry, Jay. I didn't
thank
know
you
that.
so much. I really appreciate it. And Amber and Val have been very nice about it too, and a lot of other people. But
Oh,
yeah, I think what happened with her was she was at a folk festival in Scotland a few years, like not a few years, like a lot of time ago, like when I was a teenager, so like 10 years ago. Around that time, she was in a folk festival, like for folk music and traditional tribal music in Scotland, and she met. She was there with my grandfather, and he was a musician as well, and they were there to like just watch people play like traditional Irish music, Celtic music, and traditional Native American, South American music from African, Caribbean, Polynesian, from all over the world basically, and everyone who was like a traditional musician was coming to Glasgow, and they were watching this festival, and a
wow.
Native American guy was there, and he just came up to my grandmother, and he handed her a dream catcher with a wolf on it, and he said to her, he said,
Aw.
you've got a grandson, haven't you? And she looked at him like with wide eyed and said, like, how could you like, yes, I do. But like, obviously, like she was an older woman, so he could have assumed that, but he knew, and he looked at her and said, "You've got a grandson, haven't you?" And she said, "Yes." And he said, "Don't pay me any money. Give this to him. I've blessed it, and tell him from me, he will walk with wolves one day." And
Oh,
I didn't know what that meant, but I appreciated it, and I took the dream
yeah.
catcher, and it's still, from where I live now, I brought it with me. It's still above my bed, and it will never go
Aw.
away. It will always be there. It's a really important thing, even now, even more important. But
Oh, yeah, I
when it
bet.
really made sense to me was a few years later when I was out on the moors, and this was in Britain, and then in like the basically Wales area, the bogs near Wales, and I was out there on the moors, and I heard a howl, and in my head I was thinking, if that's a wolf, I'm just going to stand my ground, and I'm going to try and fight it off if I can, and if I die, I die. The coroner will know. At least he put up a fight, and that will be known. I don't care if I die. And having that
Mm.
thought, and obviously wolves aren't native to Britain, but they have been sighted there before, and you never know. It wouldn't be the first time a species of animal was said to be extinct that actually wasn't. But I heard a howl, and and like I saw later on a wolf, and I've been through that experience on my on this channel when I was going through paranormal experience. It was that weekend where I had that experience where I literally saw a wolf, uh, and I just thought to myself, That makes sense. And it's typical of, and this is something that happens in Native American culture when you are the age that I was at that point. You go onto this spiritual journey and you overcome something. You know what I mean? For me, it was
Yeah.
seemingly a fear of death, and now I don't have
Wow.
that, and I'm
Dang,
not
that's so
afraid to die.
crazy, but so cool. Wolves are actually, we have some here that are endangered. They're red wolves. Like every time I go to the shore, because like I live on the water, but we drive to go to like where the sand and the waves are, because we're on the sound. So when we go to that part of the ocean, there's this like several mile period that says like endangered red wolf crossing, and you have to be careful through there. I've never seen one, but that is so cool. Wolves are like, that's such a powerful, like meaningful, and like you said, especially now. I'm so sorry about that. That is,
Thank you so
yeah, I'm
much. But
just
like you
really
said,
sorry.
it was a powerful experience. And like that night, obviously, I heard the howling, and then the day later, I went back, and in the distance, I saw a grey, blackish wolf. You know what I mean? And it seeing
Yeah,
it in the UK was totally, out there. But I mean, people have seen big black cats like in the UK as well. And the theory is that these are from like people who used to have exotic pets back in the day, and then they brought
yeah,
in a law
yeah.
that meant you had to register them. So these are two species, wolf and like lynx/puma, that are very, very adaptable. So could survive and breed with other of their kind in the wild that also got out and were let out over time. So like,
Right.
I think it's plausible, but for me, I think that that was more of a spiritual thing. I don't think that that was necessarily a normal wolf. I think it was a sign of a spiritual sign, like a spirit animal of some kind. And I've always held a
Yeah,
significance to wolves because I think that they're very misunderstood. And I think that I've been misunderstood in life. And, that kind of experience, that kind of spiritual journey, that's typical of Native Americans. Native American boys, when they became men, would go out and would maybe take some psychedelics, some peyote, or go completely sober and have a spiritual experience that changes their view on life, that gives them this sense of ego death that many can only
right.
get from taking LSD. These people can get it naturally, you know what I mean? Like monks do this the same, and these people are so interesting spiritually, and they've been in America for so long. They walked over the ice from Siberia. They know everything there is about America. You know what I mean? About all the
Right.
various folklores, creatures that were here before, and I just find them so interesting as a people. But yeah, back to obviously the main topic of tonight, which is the missing women. Because I know I only have you here for another 20 minutes or so. Because I know we agreed an hour. Because I don't want to take too much of your time. Because I'm just
Yeah,
grateful
I
that.
might have to jump off in like about 10 minutes. That way I have a couple minutes to get my ish together for what I got to do next. But yes.
Absolutely fine. No worries at all. I completely understand, Alex. And I'll be in your live later. And that's an important live. That's such a horrible case as well that I heard about that you're going to be covering. So, yeah, more power
Yeah.
to you that you're
Awesome.
able to cover it.
Well, I just saw it today and I was reading and I actually saw it in a video first. And then I started looking up some things about it. And I'm like, sir, it's crazy because I'll see 100 cases and none of them will like make, I just won't feel like connected in a way that I want to talk about it. But then certain ones I do. And that baby, oh my God, he's so precious. Like, I'm like, I want to talk about this. Like, I'm going to
Yeah.
talk about this today because I always also try to focus on, I have a problem with, and I see a lot of people that we are trusting our kids with, hurting them, whether it's in one way or another, whether it's a coach, a preacher, a teacher, a daycare worker, whatever, a tutor, Sunday school teacher. It's all of them. And I have an issue with that because that is, as a parent, like just my worst nightmare. But anyways, we can get back to the topic. So, but that's
No,
why I
but
wanted to talk about it.
That's important, Alex. And like you said, it's so important that I think that it goes back to. I mean, I've talked about this before. Ancient Babylon itself, in the old days in the Middle East, before Christianity, Judaism, or Islam was formed, they used to have multiple gods, and the leaders of those countries in the Middle East would do all kinds of debauchery. You know what I mean? They would sacrifice kids. They would do abuses to kids, all in the name of their gods.
Yeah.
And that was the climate that Judaism, Christianity, and Islam spawned out of, because people were so fed up with how things were that they wanted to start something completely different. You know what I mean? But that isn't to say that all paganism's like that. It was just them who were totally unhinged and messed up like
Yes,
that.
it.
But exactly, I think that mentality has stayed. I don't think it ever went away, and I think that there's something about our society, our world, where those people who have sick intent can get into positions of power very easily and are oftentimes assisted.
Yeah. Oh, you're so right. And it's like those are the choices, those are the positions they choose, they want. And or like for instance, Stephen Stern's working at Disney. Like,
The amount of
you
sex
know,
offenders that or like people who get caught with pictures of kids or trying to meet kids that work for Disney or on Disneyland or a Disney cruise is
it's
insane.
unbelievable. It's
And
just
you'd think they'd
unbelievable.
do some vetting, but no, it's crazy. But
Yeah.
yeah, back to
Yeah.
the topic. Yeah, we could be here all night. Otherwise, there's so much stuff going on. But yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
um, I'm going to speak about this is a plea from the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and this is where a website that I got a lot of info from, and about various missing Native American women. And it says they're seeking info on the death of Chalistia Kaleli, and she is a member of the White Mountain Apache tribe in Arizona, and she's only 16 years old. And there's a $5,000 reward for info that leads to an arrest. She was murdered, they believe. She was found dead in suspicious circumstances on November 3rd last year. And the BIA, the Bureau of Indian Affairs, suspect foul play. And it just shows you how underfunded the BIA is, that they can only really offer a $5,000 reward for what is a
Yeah.
murder of a child, to help solve and get a conviction for a child killer. And it's so sad
Mm,
seeing a picture of her and on the website and how young she looked, and just imagining how horrible her last minutes alive were and how sad that must have been. It just really breaks you and makes me more determined to cover this topic and get
right.
her name out there, because I'd never heard of her before then. I
Can you
haven't seen
repeat her
anything on
name?
Court TV about her.
Yeah. No. Can you repeat her name though for us, please?
Absolutely. Chalistia uh, Kaleli. Chalistia
Mm.
Kaleli. A
That is a
member of
beautiful
the.
name, and I haven't seen a single thing
I
about
know it
her.
is.
Not a single thing.
It's a crime that
Mm.
they don't mention this. I think that what I think we should do, and I will certainly be doing, is like when new cases break or older ones, anniversaries of missing Native women, comment on these places, Court TV, Law and Crime Network, and say like, are you going to talk about these missing women? Are you going to talk about
Yeah.
Chalistia Kaleli's case? Are you going to talk about Molly Miller? Are you going to talk about any of the others? Like, are they going to be mentioned? And then keep putting their names in these comments, and people will notice. And eventually they'll have to make a video about them, because I've not seen a video on any of these channels about any Native American women or girls. And that, considering they are the demographic that per capita are the most likely to go missing, I don't know
Yeah.
why. I don't know
There
why it's
is
only.
one case I've seen in the last year or so, and gosh, her name is escaping me. I think it's Emily.
It's not even
Oh my
your
gosh.
fault. It's the fact that they don't even cover it. You know what I mean? Barely. Like they'll just do one report of it, if at all, and then it's
Yeah.
completely evaporated. No wonder the name slips your memory. You know what I mean? Because it feels like you're not supposed to remember them. It feels like
Yeah.
the
It's
system
so
doesn't
true.
want us to probe this and figure them out. But yeah,
Let
the
me find her.
BIA
I'll look. Go
suspect
ahead.
foul play, and Emily Pike, yeah,
Yes, that's it. Thank you.
and Molly Miller is another person, another Native American woman. She went missing nearly 10 years ago. Well, over 10 years ago, on July 8th, 2013. She was only 17 at the time. Another child. She went missing in Overbrook in Oklahoma. So she actually wasn't on her reservation at the time, but she is a member of the Chickasaw Nation. And she has been missing for over 10 years, and she still hasn't been found. And I'm going to do lives. I think my next lives will be dedicated to individual cases of Native American women, and just try and get as much info as I can, although it's really limited. Like I'm really limited on the amount of info I can actually get on these individual cases.
Yeah.
And I think that that's by design. But I'm going to do as much probing as I can, and maybe have someone on from some of the organizations that actually advocate for missing women and Native American issues, and maybe have a Native American woman or man or both come on and share their perspectives, because I don't understand
Yeah.
what your
That'd be
I have
awesome.
an idea of what your lives may be like and what your culture is, but I don't know what it's like in these reservations on the ground day to day. You people do, and I would be honoured to hear your perspectives. And Coffee and Skeletons, that's great. That's great. Would it be cool if Coffee and Skeletons put it into your Discord, Alex, so I could
Absolutely.
see these
Anytime, ever.
cases? Because
Yeah,
yeah, I'm
of
just going to
course.
quickly, before Alex has to get off, go through some of the organizations that, if you want to donate money to, help, uh, repost their social media post, volunteer for, anything you can do, please help these organizations and nonprofits. We've got the National Indigenous Women's Resource Centre, who keep tabs on and keep information on, and the faces out there of missing Native American and Indigenous women. Not Our Native Daughters, who is a charity or non for profit that one of your members of your Discord, Mo, let me know about. And I checked out their page, and it's very interesting. I'll try and make contact with them. They post about missing Native American people in general, and they've got a very strong social media presence, and they're very determined, and they're very clear on the reasons why this happens, and the social issues and the crime issues and the frankly racial issues are for, that combined to make sadly a perfect storm for these cases to continue to be underreported, ignored, and keep getting worse and more common in number. But if you need to get off now, Ali, to give yourself some time before you're live, feel free
Okay,
to. You've
thank you.
given me
Because
more than enough.
I have to move all my stuff out here, and then I had a freaking little dessert I was supposed to be making in the middle, and I might still have time to do it. It just takes like 5 minutes to put it all together. It's like a throw together dessert. But if not, then it's all right. It'll be, because I appreciate you having me. This is an important conversation. I did want to say before I go, when Jen and I were doing the calls and we started looking into, first we were posting like missing kids flyers on them because a lot of people watch these calls. Well, then I told Jen, like, I'd like to do indigenous women. First, I said women, but once I started looking into it, I ended up doing just indigenous people and people of color, because they're all underreported, not just the women. The missing boys, the missing men, the missing elderly, Jay, in these communities. Oh my gosh. It's like they're all underreported. Of course, the women is a huge issue, and I think it's so important, and I'm really appreciate you like spending your time talking about it. I think that's going to be awesome doing individual cases, but it's kind of crazy to think that it's all of their people. When they go missing or they're murdered, they just don't really get coverage, and they oftentimes go unsolved, and it's so
Exactly.
sad. But
It is sad, and we can change that. If we can, everyone works together, native or non-native, and tries to shine a light on this, and shine a light on the social issues and the law enforcement issues and the financial issues that create this sadly perfect storm for predators to take advantage of these poor women and girls. Then, like, we're doing something. If we can stop this even slightly, or raise awareness in the slightest bit of way, like we're doing
you're right.
as much as we can. We're doing something right, and I feel really proud of it. That this isn't for me. This isn't for views. This isn't for clicks. I know that this stream isn't going to get a lot of views. It's probably going to get buried. You know what I mean? Because it's not a topic that
Yeah, they
makes the
do.
headlines
Mine do
and
too.
people want to see.
Yep.
But like, that's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I care about them. I care about the downtrodden people in society. I care about those that have had a rough deal, because I feel like I'm one of them. You know what I mean? And I know you feel
Yeah.
that way as well, as a recovering addict, that we are part of the downtrodden and we need to stick together. And
Yeah.
I see that as part of this process. And
You're so
yeah,
right. In a lot of places, if we were to go missing or be murdered, especially back in our first days of being recovering, like our first days of getting off of shit, or while you're on it, the one less person the cops have to deal with. That's literally how they look at it with addicts, even if they're recovering. And that's just the truth, especially if they've had run ins with you in the past. You can die. I have family members who were recovering for years and passed away. And maybe they had a weed vape there and they were looked at as a drug addict, and a full autopsy wasn't good done. It actually happened to me with my cousin 2 years ago. She'd been in recovery for years. And had had been doing great, but she did smoke weed, and there was a weed vape in the room, and they refused to even do a full autopsy, and she was halfway embalmed before the family was even notified,
I'm so
because the
sorry, Alex.
overdoses are so bad there. So we're looked at as just the scum of the earth, even when we're recovering. And thank you, it's okay, but it is a problem, and I appreciate you talking about it. And if I don't go, I'm going to keep going forever,
Oh,
so
I
I'm
know,
going to
Ali.
jump
Don't
off.
worry. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you for
sharing
having
that,
me.
and thank you for coming on, and uh, being vulnerable like that, and being here with me and sharing your expertise and your research. It's really appreciated, and I'm wishing you luck in your life, and I hope you manage to
Well,
get your
thank you.
dessert done in time, and
I'm
I
gonna
hope,
go try.
yeah,
I'm
fingers
supposed to.
crossed. Everyone pray for Ali's dessert, and yeah, I
Yeah, I
hope,
just have to melt some white chocolate, so that shouldn't take but like a minute in the microwave, so it should be
yeah, I'll
okay.
let you get there. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'll talk to you soon. Thank you. Bye.
Bye
Bye,
bye.
guys. See you
Bye bye.
soon. Bye.
Yeah, that was great having Ali come on, and everyone in chat being so engaged. I feel really privileged to have that and have her be vulnerable like that, and open, because it is a sad thing, the ex addicts and people who are marginalized are not, taken as seriously or as importantly as, someone who's a CEO of some, dare I say, some health insurance CEO or something like that, that their murders are reported on. But someone who has never screwed anyone over in their life, as that they're who's innocent, you know what I mean, as their murders are never, reported on, it seems, and if they're from a marginal uh, community. Not that any murder is a good one, of course. It's all wrong. It's all terrible. It's all a tragedy. But I think there's discrepancies in the media, and how obviously you look at the way that CEO, that's what I'm referencing, the CEO's death from Luigi Mangione, you know what I mean? How his death was reported versus like these deaths of these Native American women, Molly Miller, you know what I mean? Uh, Shalistia Khalili, you know what I mean? It's so many of them that the names don't get reported and don't get talked about, and they were just kids basically. It's insane, and Yes, I have lost two members of family that their deaths were extremely questionable, but they were addicts and people of color, so no one cared enough to further look into it. That's a sad reality, and it, when the authorities finally recognize that drug addiction is a medical condition, and finally uh look at people like they're ill, not like they're just bad people. You know what I mean? Because the people don't just turn to drugs because they're a bad person or they're of weak character. It's usually to try and self-medicate and deal with wrongly, but deal with some kind of trauma. You know what I mean? It's not because they're a bad person, for God's sake. We need to change people's perceptions with that. But yeah, uh, as I was talking about, there are many organizations to help Native American women. There's also the Coalition to Stop Violence Against Native American Women that Ali was talking about earlier, about how 80% of Native American women face domestic violence or physical violence of some way. And that physical violence can often lead them to be in a position where they may want to flee or may be vulnerable to a new boyfriend coming along and love bombing them and saying, hey, come with me off the reservation and we'll start a new life away from here and it'll be perfect. And then they're trafficked. And then sometimes they lose their life, and that's the story that's sadly all too familiar and needs to stop. Unfortunately, we are by all considered to have equal value. Money and power carry too much weight in the US, in my opinion. I agree. I think money, power, and influence, who kind of oftentimes determines your value, your worth, regardless of your character. I'd like to live in a society where somebody's character determines their worth. It should be what's in your heart, not what's in your wallet. You know what I mean? I want a prize for the man or the woman with the biggest heart, not the biggest wallet. And I think that in America and the West, and bloody hell, basically the whole world, it seems, it's either money or power. And that power is usually manifested in the ability to inflict pain on others. And, that's the world. That's the world we live in. And, surely there's another way. Surely there's another way. We don't have to be so primitive. We can evolve past all that. We can try and look for balance away from the chaos. We can heal from the trauma. The only limit is ourselves, and I think not all considered to have equal value. I need to proofread. Yeah. I got what you meant, Neat. Don't worry. I do the same all the time. Don't worry. And just to finish off before I end, closing statements. Obviously, I want to get off before Ali starts her live. I don't want to cut into that because she's been gracious enough to give up her time before her own live. And I'm really grateful for that. I'm grateful for all of you chatters for coming here. Val, Neat, Coffee, Shays, Crafty, Neat, Coffee and Skeletons, Amber, everyone, Val, I think I already said, everyone who's been in chat, I really appreciate you sticking with me and listening, because this is something that's really important. And I know it's not the Reiner case. It's not something that's it's not Epstein files or David. It's not something that's breaking news or making the news, but it's something that's important, and it's happening. It's happening right now. A Native American woman is being physically assaulted statistically right now, okay, or potentially being trafficked right now. And the other statistics for other women, it's just as bad. All of that's equally as bad. But like we've discussed in this live, it's a lot more likely that that's happening to a Native American woman right now. And I want to live in a world where that can happen as little as possible, if at all. Because I'm a realist. I know that there's always going to be bad people, like there are good people, and that's the way that's nature. You know what I mean? But it seems like there's more bad than there is good, and that the bad seem to have the balance of power right now. And I want to live in a world where that balance of power shifts, so that the people who, I guess, are of influence, I won't want to say power, are of influence, are there out of the goodness of their heart, out of altruism, which means doing things because you want to do it for the good of other people, for the good of it, not because you're gaining anything materialistically from it. You do it because you believe it's the right thing to do. You know, I want a world like that, where people are genuine, where people aren't parasites and snakes and predators. You know, coffee all the time. Yeah. Oh, I time now. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, awareness. That's what I'm going to finish on before we depart. And awareness. Like, wear a red flag. Wear red. You can wear red on May 5th, and that's the National Day to raise awareness of missing and abused Native American women. So on May 5th, I will wear something red. Let me think. Oh yeah, I've got my Cork. I got my Cork Gaelic football. That's like the Irish version of football. Shirt that I could wear that's red. So I've got that, and that's referencing what that is what's in the thumbnail. It's a Native American woman wearing the red handprint over her face to raise awareness of violence against Native American women and the missing and the trafficked and the exploited. I don't mind capitalism, but I want capitalism with a conscience. Yeah, I think that capitalism with a conscience, you know, it would be nice, but I think it's somewhat oxymoronic. Like, it's a contradiction. I think no matter what with capitalism, there's always going to be people that are going to be exploited. They have to be. You know, to maximize profit, you've got to maximize exploitation. But it doesn't mean that money systems are completely bad in and of themselves. It just means that there's other ones that exist, you know, that we haven't really tried. Or maybe we should try and think of a new way that's not been thought of before, because we've got all of these ideologies that have been created in the past. And we live in a new world now. There's a lot of things that are around now that weren't around then. So maybe we try and create a new system collectively, you know, that fits for us, you know. It's not even capitalism anymore. Yeah, it's end stage capitalism. You know what I mean? It's the rich. The gap between rich and poor is only getting greater, and even it's harder for the middle class harder than ever for the middle class to become upper class. And I'm using British class system terms because it's what I was brought up in. It's what I know. But obviously it's kind of different in America. But that's what I know. That's the kind of feudal system that the class system I was brought up into, which I think is bad. And I think we need to do away with it altogether. I think that, you know, like I said, your own merits as a person should determine your worth, not where you grew up. But yeah, we can wear red on May 5th to raise awareness. There's not really much of it. I completely agree. Sadly, it's like the destruction. End stage capitalism is the destruction of the middle class, and then it will just be the ultra poor and the ultra rich, and it will be a battle. You know what I mean? For resources, and it'll be horrible. And hopefully, we can avoid anything like that. And reshape the system and reshape the world before it. Because a lot of people are cynical and are down in the dumps and don't think it can be done. But honestly, I think that that's the way we've been groomed. We've been groomed to think that we as individuals, as people, can't make significant change in society and in the world. But I say no. I say, if you believe in yourself and you believe in what you say, and you get out there and you make your voice heard, you're going to make a difference somehow. You know what I mean? And the more people that do that, the more of an impact is going to be made. And, you know, I have faith that people power goes a long way, and that with just understanding in the transfer of information, you can really liberate someone and liberate somebody's mind, and open their mind up to new ideas. But yeah, as well, you can donate to the various charities and non-profits that I've mentioned previously to help raise awareness. You can give up your time to these groups. But like I said as well, right before we finish, when I'm going to keep posting on my community post of missing people in general, but I'm going to try and focus in on missing Native American women because of how underreported they are and how common it happens, how often it happens. Like I said earlier, though, in the live when Ali was here, try and, when you're in these Law and Crime Network, Crime TV, mention the names of these women. Say, are you going to do a show about them? Are you going to look into their case? Because we would really appreciate it if you did, because nobody else really is. And, you could really break this story and really change the balance of this case with the amount of eyes that you could get on it. So yeah, I hope people do that, because I'm certainly going to do it. So yeah, thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you, Ali. Thank you, chatters. Thank you, mods. It's been a really, tough conversation, but it's been important, I think, to have. And I'm glad you could all join us for it. And I hope that we've all, been enlightened by what we've learned, and hopefully understand the reality of how bad the situation is for Native Americans. But thank you so much for everyone being here again. And I should be live in the next few days. I would like to do a live about, like I said earlier when Ali was here, focusing on one of these cases. I'm thinking maybe Molly Miller, because it happened so long ago and she's still missing. I think I could get more information about her case because it happened over a decade ago. I'm going to start with her case and build on that. And hopefully you'll join me for that, and stay tuned at the channel. Thank you so much, and I'll see you all at Ali's. Peace and love, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. See ya.